Welcome to the Business Shop Podcast, where our guests speak on meeting the challenges of entrepreneurship, as well as offer tips and advice on business, marketing, technology, and more. Whether you are a newbie or a seasoned professional, this episode is for you. I am your host, Audrey Wiggins. Let's chop it up. Hello, Chop Squad. Audrey Wiggins here, your host, and I'm excited, as usual, to come to you. And our guest is Aurora Winter. She's an MBA. She's a successful entrepreneur, a best-selling author, more than one book, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to be holding up our book covers here. She's a TV writer, producer, and the founder of SamePagePublishing.com. Using her expertise in film and neuroscience, she helps people tell memorable stories that build brands, books, and businesses. You know, I like those 3 B's there, Aurora.
A little alliteration. Exactly
yes,
right.
exactly. Experts turn their words into wealth. Winner of Outstanding Nonfiction Book of the Year Award, Aurora's book, Turn Words into Wealth. Come on, Aurora. Let's hold her.
There it is.
Blueprint for your business, brand, and book. She shares 7 ways to generate 7 figures. So I look forward to, you being able to get a hold of that, and she'll talk a bit about it a little later as well. Also, Aurora will share how the right words can dramatically increase income, impact, and influence. There you go again. Increase our income, impact, and influence. Now, we'll be right back with Aurora on the other side of this commercial break.
Knock out your competition with Altogether Marketing. We elevate your brand. Take a stance with your business name, logo, the tagline, your colors, even the fonts for your business. And then jab left with your website, jab right with core values. Back up with product experience and bring it on with you. Visit altogether.biz and let us help you create a knockout brand.
We're back with Aurora Winter. Now, Aurora is a popular media guest. She's been featured on ABC TV, CBS TV, KTLA TV, Huffington Post, Elle Magazine, Oprah Radio, and the Rebel Author Podcast, and more. Aurora loves to talk about issues that matter and create engaging and entertaining content that adds value. She shares Steve Jobs took 3 weeks to design, practice, and perfect his Apple launches. His words triggered buying frenzies and built one of the most successful companies in the world. And I follow his speeches, and just listening to him was very, very charismatic. Aurora Winter is passionate about helping people understand how to communicate powerfully so that they can launch a business or a movement and leave a legacy. Aurora, welcome to the Business Chop.
Ooh, Audrey, what a great introduction. Well, I look forward to contributing to your audience today and giving them some nuggets that they can use right away to turn their words into wealth.
Yes, that's what we're looking for. Now, before we get started, Aurora, there are a couple of moments that I'd love for you to share with the Chop Squad.
Well, I would love to share the power of pivoting. So I have a successful business publishing and helping people connect with the gold in their stories. But when 2020 hit and took us all down a sidebar with COVID and lockdown, I realized, wait a minute, I had a dream when I was 9 years old to do something that I didn't do because I got so busy running my business and writing nonfiction books. So in 2020, I started writing a fantasy series. Woo-hoo-hoo. This is the first book in the fantasy series, Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse. The second book, The Secret Multiverse Academy, just came out, and the third one is coming out in 2025. This is the second book. And the first one won the Reader's Choice Award, Best Book for Teens. The second one has won a Gold Award from Literary Titan. And so I was really pleased that I decided to honor a dream that I had. And I think this story is worth telling, because you can get so busy running your business or doing your career that you put aside dreams that are really important to you. And so I want to encourage the listeners to consider, what things are really important to you that you would regret not doing. And for me, it was writing those fantasy books, which I'm super proud of. This book, Turn Words into Wealth, which Audrey was holding up at the beginning of the call, Blueprint for Your Business, Brand, and Book, also has won numerous awards, including the Outstanding Nonfiction Book of the Year award. So I was very proud of that. And one of the reasons I wrote Turn Words into Wealth, which contains 7 different recipes for making 7 figures with your message, is because so many people that I knew and my clients or friends, would spend so much time writing a book and then they would drop the ball right at the finish line. They wouldn't test the cover, the title, the subtitle. They wouldn't bother setting up any marketing. They wouldn't let people know how to get a hold of them or what else they could offer. And so they failed to add a business aspect to the book. And so the books would fail to achieve the potential that they could.
That's awesome. Well, thanks and kudos to you for being a published author, an award-winning published author. That's awesome, and encouraging us to get on that road as well, because that's really important. Just stealing from your title, turn words into wealth. Even right there, I know it's deeper than that, and you'll tell us about it. But that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So I guess what I should do then, the first question should be: do words matter, and how much value does a story add?
I've launched multiple different businesses. Some of them, generated 7 figures in a week. Some of them generated 7 figures in a year or in several years. And they were in completely different industries: coaching, training, selling sailboats, film and television production, and now publishing. But the common thread was storytelling, or as I like to say, story selling. When you can communicate what you're up to and why it matters, when you can clearly convey the problems that you solve and who you solve those problems for and what it's worth, then that changes the entire game. The right words at the right time can make an enormous difference and change your life or your business forever. And I'd like to share just really quickly the story that, because I always look for evidence to back up my claims. There was an experiment done. It was reported in the book Significant Objects. And they put 100 distinct objects on eBay, either with a story or without a story. And then they said, P.S., what they were doing. They were transparent. The stories were all written by different people. Some were professional authors, some were amateurs. And they weren't adding hype, or they weren't lying either, but they added significance. In some case, they added sort of like a menacing significance, like a Halloween kind of energy. But an example might simply be, these are my grandmother's pot mitts. I remember her using these pot mitts. I'd come home from school and she'd pull out chocolate chip cookies and we'd have milk and cookies and she'd chat with me after school. Well, you're not getting the grandmother or the cookies when you buy the pot mitts, but it's added significance. You do get the significance that's added. So I wonder what you think if the stories with a story, the objects with a story sold for more, Audrey, and if you think they sold for more, by how much more?
Oh, wow. Well, I do think they sold for more. I would say they probably sold 20% more.
That's about what people think, but they sold for 27 times more.
Wow.
2,700%. So why I like to share this is I think most people think, it's not worth my time to collect stories. It's not worth my time to practice my stories and to get it really tight and clear. But it is. You're possibly leaving 27 times the value on the table. And that's why I love that you shared the Steve Jobs story, because if the CEO of Apple can afford or not afford, but decide to take 3 weeks to practice what he was going to say, how he was going to say it, where he was going to stand for the Apple launches, I think this is all a message to all of us that practicing our communication skills, being deliberate about it, carving out time for it is not just a kind of like, I'll do it when I get around to it. It should be a priority item. Most people are aware of the 80-20 rule, which is that 20% of the things that you do bring you 80% of whatever, say 80% of the money. Well, I would say that learning how to communicate, deciding to communicate in a better, more effective, more clear and compelling way is definitely in the top 20% of things that you can do.
That kind of leads me into the next question, then, is why do thought leaders need to be authors?
Well, Amazon is the number 3 search engine. So if you have an expertise and you don't have a book on Amazon, you're just missing a huge market that could be hungry for your expertise and your solution. Also, we cannot serve everybody around the planet with whatever it is that our main business is, but we can leave a legacy and we can make a difference with a book. You create a book once, but then it can be read by millions of people around the world. They can download it instantly on Amazon or other platforms, and you can make a difference. As part of the book, like in my book, Turn Words into Wealth, I share stories of my clients and myself and other people as well. But as you read the book, you go, oh, well, maybe I would like some VIP help to get my book published. And then at the end of the book, I say, you can go to samepagepublishing.com and you can book a business breakthrough call if that's something that would appeal to you. Now that some people would go, well, that's marketing. Yes, that is marketing. And also it is being of service, because no matter how much you try to pack everything you know into your book, some people will want more and will need more. With my first published book, I really, in my innocence, thought, that's it. Everybody will get it. They'll have the aha from the book. But the book brought people who were like, well, that was great. We want to coach with you. We want you to help us with this. Can you please do this for me or help me do it? And so no matter how good your book is, some people are going to want more. So add that to the PS or the end or the author bio, or better yet, bake it into the book. I think the best marketing is part of the stories inside the book. So you sprinkle the yeast of the stories of who you are, what you do, why you do it, who you serve, and the difference that your product, service, or business makes throughout the book. And if you want to see an example of that,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
grab a copy of Turn Words into Wealth.
Okay.
Or else you can go to turnwordsintowealth.com and you can get a free ebook copy, or you can get it wherever books are sold.
Definitely, Chop Squad. You want to definitely get the PDF or better yet, so you can hold it, get that little tactile in there, and
Well, it's good to get the physical copy because you probably want to highlight it and dog-ear the pages and write notes in the margins.
Yep. Good old fashioned reading. Never goes out of style.
It really doesn't. There's something about having a book that is just like, I feel like my books are my friends. I love the books that I've listened to on audio or that I've read as ebooks, but the ones that I could hold in my hand, I feel like they're part of my life. They're part of my life. They're part of my community.
Oh my goodness. Yes, for sure. So when we talk about telling stories, people always ask, what is my story, and what is the story that I should be telling?
Well, I think you will have more than one story. So if we put on our business hat, because, this is the Chop Squad, you will be well served to collect stories of the problems that you solve and the difference that it makes. There are so many different ways to structure a story, but most people are familiar with the hero's journey story structure because it's in almost every Hollywood film. Yeah. So the hero's journey story structure is, there's a problem. The hero tries to fight the dragon, tries and fails to succeed at the mission, tries again and fails. There's 3 fails. And then, the hero overcomes the challenge or slays the dragon or rescues the princess, whatever the case may be. There's the success. And then the hero brings the Holy Grail or the wisdom or the insight back home to his or her village, and it helps everyone. So that is the story structure to use. So if you have, say, I guess I could use an example. So I helped this client, Michael Stockham, write the book Confessions of an Accidental Lawyer. It's got over 3,000 reviews on Amazon. So So if I were to tell his story, he's a successful litigation attorney, making a lot of money, but his heart was sad because he's always wanted to be a writer. He studied writing. He took a degree in poetry, but he was not writing, and he couldn't see how to make his dream of becoming an award-winning novelist come true. And then he read my book, Thought Leader Launch. He connected with me and we started working together. And the result was first this book, which has won 10 awards, including the American Fiction Award.
Awesome.
And in December 2024, we're launching the first of 9 books in a legal thriller series. The first one's called Jake Fox Ties That Blind. And so by working together, he expressed his creativity. He found the joy and the juice in doing that. Because he has my support, he's still able to work more or less full time as a litigation attorney. And I'm supporting him and also launching his career. So the result is he's thrilled. His wife is thrilled. And he's building a business like John Grisham, so that several years from now, when he perhaps retires as a top-notch litigation attorney, he'll have 10 books, which is a body of work that could very likely produce the kind of outstanding results that a James Patterson or a John Grisham have achieved. That's an example. That's actually a true example.
Yeah,
but that's a little story about my client, but baked into the story is the difference that I made, or my business, Same Page Publishing, made. So for all the listeners, you want to be collecting stories like that. That was the first time I told that story. So perhaps I could tighten it. But when you know the basic story structure, you can use it for yourself, for your clients, for your patients, and broadcast in a compelling way the difference that you and your business makes. The good thing about stories is people share stories and repeat stories. Statistics, you might forget the 27 times statistic, although it probably will hopefully stick with you because of the grandmother pot mitt story added a little impact to that. But you might repeat the story of Michael Stockham and him becoming a best-selling, award-winning legal thriller author. So as we collect these stories and communicate them, it will help you attract your ideal client. And also, it's our right to repel the people who are not your ideal client. You want the stories to be very much about you and your brand, what you stand for, what you care about, the transformation that you create. So an example of repelling, I am not the person who would help you with your book if you're writing poetry. That's not what I do. Other people could help you with that.
Right. Yes. Stay in your lane.
Stay in my lane. So I've launched multiple businesses. I sold my first business for 6 figures when I was in my 20s. I've exited 2 times. So I'm the person to help you with your book if you are already running a successful business, or if you're an expert like Michael Stockham is, and you want to launch a new career as an author. That would be what I would do at Same Page Publishing with my team.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And thanks for sharing that story too. That was fascinating. I got 2 things out of that. First, he's doing his passion and he's real successful at it. And now he'll have a legacy when he leaves law. But it just reminds me of the generations back where say, get your education, get a good job. And so people went after, high paying jobs but you're not, you have to be spiritually fulfilled as well as monetarily fulfilled.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, for him and also for that example as a reminder.
Well, it relates a bit to your book, right? Escaping the Fortune 500. It can be a trap, even if it pays well.
Right, exactly. And sometimes it's just the money trap. And then you retire, you stay forever. It's like, I don't want to do anything. Yes, I'm glad.
Well, it's interesting. I read something, gosh, I'm forgetting the source, but I think it really relates to what you're saying. So in most times of life, your life looks like a triangle. And usually one of the sides of the triangle is very small. So you have health, you have wealth, and you have time. So, at some points in life, you're young, you got a lot of health, you got a lot of time, you got no money. And then you've got kids and you've got your career, you got a lot of money, you got a lot of wealth, you got no time. But there's this beautiful period of life, which I'm in right now, where I have time, I have money, and I have health.
Yes. Yes.
And, in another decade or 2, or hopefully 3, I will not have the health as much. So, in October, my son and I went to Santorini, Greece, and we had a wonderful time because I'm aware this is a golden period of time. So for those listening, what phase of life are you in? Are you in a triangle that's got more or less equal length of health, wealth, and time? Or what is the constraint? And it's good to notice what the constraint is and see if you can solve it, or just acknowledge that's the phase of life you're in. If you're a mom with a business and 3 kids, under the age of 9, you don't have any time. It's going to change later, but right now you don't have any time. So just, be okay with that.
Yes, squeeze the juice out of what you do have
Exactly right.
instead of lamenting about I wish and all that.
Exactly right, Audrey.
Leads me to my next question about the neuroscience of communication. What is it, and what are the common communications mistakes that we make?
Well, I think the more educated we are, the worse we can be as communicators, because university basically trains us the wrong way. So the university trains us, or college really trains us, to have the idea that the message sent is the message received, and to send the verbal equivalent of an Excel spreadsheet. But this is not how the neuroscience of communication works. So a good way to remember this is, imagine you got an Excel spreadsheet as an attachment from somebody that you don't know in your email inbox. You're going to filter it this way, and this is exactly how your brain works. Number one, you're going to look at the subject line. Is it interesting? Is it something that attracts your attention? So for example, a book title, Marketing Fast Track, that's like a subject line. Or
Okay.
Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse. It's like, what category are we in? And is this interesting? Turn Words into Wealth is a good example, because it's got words into wealth. You might be interested in that. And if you are, it's got the benefit right there. So what is the subject line? So your ancient reptilian brain does the first filter, and it filters for, number one, is this interesting? Is this new? Is this exciting? Is this something that could threaten me, but just a little bit? So I need to pay attention, because you don't want to flood the listener or reader of your message with terror, because they will delete. So the first filter is it interesting? You pass the croc brain. The second filter is around social proof. So outstanding nonfiction book of the year is social proof. Magic, Mystery, and the Multiverse, best book for teens by the Reader's Choice Award. That's social proof. Being on this podcast with you, that's social proof. It's a different part of our brain. The midbrain filters every incoming message by who else thinks this is interesting or okay. Because if you don't know the messenger, you can assume that they may be a nobody, but if other people think it's good, maybe you'll listen. So social proof, it takes me longer to say this than for you to do it. So your first thing is going to just be, what is interesting about this idea? 30 seconds, 15 more seconds. Who else thinks this is cool? And then the third step, I call wow. So a little taste of the content that you have to deliver. So here would be an example.
Okay.
Turn Words into Wealth, best-selling, award-winning book, won outstanding nonfiction book of the year, and it explains the neuroscience of communication and how you too might benefit from 27xing your revenue with the right communication techniques. Oh, that added a little bit of wow. You know where we're going.
Yeah.
And then the listener says, okay, tell me a little bit more. And if they don't say, tell me a little bit more, don't talk to them for another half hour on that topic. See if there's something else that you have in common to talk about.
Okay.
So I like to break that into what, who, wow. So the 3 steps of neuroscience. What are we talking about? Who else think this is cool? Give me a little wow, and then we can talk more.
Let's move on to creating multiple streams of income and impact with our book, brand, and business.
Okay. Well, intern words
Let's close out with that. Yeah.
Yeah, all the B's there. Intern Words into Wealth, I get into 7 different proven models that myself and other people have used to monetize their message. And I think all of us can benefit from being very deliberate and clear about which one of these models is the best fit for you. But you can do more than one model, right?
Okay.
So an example would be public speaking. public speaking is the highest paid profession, and a book is usually required to play the speaker's game. But a speaker could be paid as much as $250,000 or more for just one 1 hour talk. So that's one way to monetize your message. Some speakers speak for free, like Dan Kennedy, who's written a lot of books about entrepreneurship. But then at the back of the room, he sells his products, his services, his coaching, and he makes 7 figures. So you can speak for free and still make 6 or 7
Right.
figures, right? If you think it through and have something to offer. Another completely different example would be Magic Mystery in the Multiverse has attracted attention from BBC, and they would like to do a TV series with 12 episodes. Now, if I can pull together the other
And
components
you kept that a secret.
I did. Revealed here today with Audrey. So you can consider the possibility, can your book or your idea be turned into a TV show or a movie? And even a nonfiction book could possibly do that. For example, Marie Kondo has The Joy of Tidying Up. And even though she's Japanese and English is not her language of preference, Netflix shot a whole series with her, and she went there with a Japanese English translator and helped people who had messes in their home clean up. So I'm sure she probably made 7 figures from the Netflix special.
Oh, yeah.
But she's also an example, another way to make 6 or 7 or 8 figures, depending on how much effort you put into it and how big your team is, from your book, is coaching certification. So Marie Kondo also did that. So she certifies, The Joy of Tidying Up, Marie Kondo trained experts to help people around the world. I think the training is somewhere around, it could be wrong for today, maybe she's changed her pricing, but somewhere around $2,000 to be trained. But then it's also $500 a year to keep as part of that community. That can easily be 7 figures too. You don't need that many people paying $2,000, and then with an ongoing recurring revenue stream of $500 per person each to really make a sizable business. So that was really smart. And then one more thing, there are more ways, but one more thing I just want to piggyback on that is, how can you consider recurring revenue streams? So what problems do you solve for your clients? And is there some component that you already do or that you could consider doing that creates recurring revenue? So for example, with my clients, one of the things that my team and I do is we make really cool book movie trailers, like they're movie trailer-esque, but they're for books. So that adds value. We help our clients get booked on podcasts, so that adds value. So I'm always thinking, and everybody I think who's an entrepreneur is well served to think this way, what problems are my clients having? Where do they get stalled or stuck? Is that a problem that I know how to solve? Have I solved it for myself or others? And would it make sense for me to solve that problem? So you can continue solving problems for your clients as they mature in whatever their business is or whatever they're up to. And there could be it doesn't have to be a business. It could also be health. For example, I'm helping a client. Her book is called The Vitality Solution. It hasn't come out quite yet. Carrie Mancarini. She loved writing the book so much. Now we're also doing a workbook, and then we're doing 9 booklets to come after it. So she really loved the process. But what she can offer in addition to the information in her book is she has a spa or a therapeutic facility or a clinic, if you like, so people could come and get the treatments, or they could go to her website and order things like, vitamin D to help with their path. So I'm helping her think through what are the other ways she can be of service. How can that make a little bit more profit for her? And then your book can be a lead magnet for this entire enterprise that you've got behind you. And as long as we're always doing it with the filter of, how can I make a bigger difference? How can I solve a problem? You're being a gift.
So, Aurora, how can people find out more? And do you have any bonuses for the Chop Squad today?
Absolutely. I have bonuses for the Chop Squad. So you can get your bonuses by going to turnwordsintowealth.com. And what you will get is a free Thought Leader Starter Library. You will get the ebook version of Turn Words into Wealth, Blueprint for Your Business, Brand, and Book. And you will also get some 5 free training videos that share how to attract capital, clients, and media coverage. Those are absolutely for free. And then at the end of that, after you've consumed that material, if you'd still like more help, you can book a business breakthrough call with me or one of my team members. And then we basically help experienced experts or thought leaders or business owners, not poets, sorry.
Okay.
to create books and create their $1 million message. So go to turnwordsintowealth.com, or you can also check out samepagepublishing.com and see the list of all the people that I have helped. And I'd love to help you if that's you.
Awesome. Thank you, Chop Squad. You know what to do. I don't have to tell you. Those are your marching orders. So, Aurora, I'd like for you to leave us with a nugget of wisdom.
I was moved by this, and I shared it with Audrey before the recording started. So this really spoke to me because I think as creators, I create books and create businesses, but whatever you're creating, whether it's a garden or a child, I think sometimes we get so busy paying the mortgage, planning for retirement, planning our kids' weddings, that we forget that it's important to create. So this is from the Gospel of Thomas. It's verse 70. Quote, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." And that really spoke to me because I think it's really important to create what you have in your heart. That's why I gave myself permission, to write the fantasy series. I want to encourage youth to love reading. Being a lifelong lover of reading changed my life. I also really liked this, and this spoke to me, and I thought it would help us leave this wonderful podcast episode on a profound note. This is from Rumi. Quote, "There is one thing in this world which you and only you were sent to do. If you do 100 great and wonderful things, but do not do the one thing, it will be as if you did nothing. However, if you do only the one thing and nothing else, it will be as if you did everything." Rumi. So I love that because
Powerful.
it's powerful, and it also helps us to prioritize. Like, what are the precious things or precious one thing that only you can do? What book is in your heart, for example, that's got your stories? Nobody else has your story. So if that's in your heart and is alive in you, well, I encourage you to go do that one thing.
Thank you, Aurora. Appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to The Business Shop. We hope that you were able to glean valuable information from our guest and that you will download and share this podcast. Your rating and review is much appreciated. To go deeper with our guests, please visit their website and social channels. To learn more about us, please visit businessshop.info or altogether.biz, where we will help you expand your brand.